Day. This talk will be recorded and available in the University of the Arts Library, or you can contact Juanita or Blanca for the link. So I'm Krista DeMarco, and I am the coordinator of art history in the School of Art. And I'm pleased to welcome three distinguished panelists today for our talk, Banana Craze. I'm going to introduce them briefly. They each have a presentation, and then we will open up the chat for questions and answers at the end. I'll start with Blanca, who joins us today from Madrid. Blanca Serrano Ortiz is project director at the Institute for Studies on Latin American Art. She holds a PhD from the Institute of Fine Art, New York University. As an independent curator and researcher, she is co-author of the Digital Humanities Project, Banana Craze, and co-curator of the exhibition Bitter Bites, Tracing the Fruit Market in the Global South, Lucy Kim, Rejuvenate and Repeat, and a third, Martha Friedman, Some Hags. Her writing has been featured in several academic publications, including most recently MoMA's Post Notes on Art in a Global Context and Craft on Demand, The New Politics of the Handmade. Next is Juanita Solano Roa. Juanita is assistant professor of art history at the Universidad de Los Andes in Bogota, Colombia. Her work focuses on the history of photography and the history of modern and contemporary art in Latin America. She holds a PhD in art history from the Institute of Fine Arts and a master's degree from the same institution. Her academic work has appeared in several publications, including Beyond the Face, New Perspectives on Portraiture from the National Portrait Gallery, History of Photography, and MoMA's Post Notes on an Art in a Global Context. She has also curated several exhibitions, including Bitter Bites, Tracing the Fruit Market in the Global South, collaborating with Blanca, and she is the co-author of the Digital Humanities Project, Banana Craze. Last but certainly not least is the distinguished artist, Victoria Cabezas. Victoria is a photographer and conceptual and multimedia artist. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree at Florida Southern College, a Master of Arts degree in Graphic Arts at Florida State University, and a Master of Arts degree in photography at Pratt Institute in New York. She taught photography and design at the Escuela de Artes Plásticas in the Universidad de Costa Rica for close to 30 years, from 1973 to 2002. She also served as Dean of the Faculty of the Bellas Artes of the same university from 1991 to 1995. Her work has been exhibited in galleries and museums in Costa Rica and in other countries, including the Museo de Arte y Diseño Contemporáneo, the Museo de Arte Costarricense, and the Museos de Blanco Central in San Jose, the Coseño Mexico de Fotográfica in AC, Mexico, and the David Rockefeller Center for Latin American Studies at Harvard University. In recent years, her work was included in an exhibition entitled Radical Women, Latin American Art 1960 to 1985, shown in the Hammer Museum in Los Angeles, California, the Brooklyn Museum of Art in New York, and the Pinacoteca in São Paulo, Brazil. In 2019, the exhibition, Victoria Cabezas and Priscilla Monge, Give Me What You Ask For, at the Americas Society in New York, was featured in Hypoallergic's Best of 2019 list of top New York City art shows. Last year, 7 of her photographs were acquired by the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And with that, I turn the panel over to Blanca.
Thank you so much, Krista. Thank you for the opportunity to present our project, and thank you for hosting us. I'm actually gonna pass it on to Juanita, who will start presenting today.
Well, thank you, Krista, and thank you, Nick Young and Rebecca, for having us here. We're really thrilled about this opportunity. This is the first time that we're going to share our project. This is a digital humanities project. And the project traces the banana imagery in contemporary Latin American art in order to explore the issues related to this apparently innocuous fruit. So As you already know, this is a collaborative project between my colleague and friend Blanca and I, and we're both art historians, although our research focuses on very different time periods. We have a particular interest for contemporary Latin American art. This project would have not been possible with the support of many artists that participate in it, including Victoria, who is joining us here today. So I will begin by explaining how we divided the talk today. So I'm gonna give you a short presentation about bananas, and I will try to explain why we chose to focus on the banana. Then Blanca is going to present to you the webpage, the Digital Humanities Project, and how it is working. And finally, Victoria is going to give us a presentation about her work. So why bananas, right? That's the big question. So when you look at popular culture today, well, bananas have a very prominent place. And I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. So you're probably familiar with Mauricio Catalan's comedian piece from 2019, where he taped a banana on the wall of his gallery during the art fair, and it was sold, right, for $150,000 more than once. And it became this huge scandal on social media. People went crazy for the banana. They went there, they took pictures with it, they made lines to have a photo with a banana taped on a wall. Earlier during the 20th century, bananas also popularized through different media. I'm bringing here an example. This is Carmen Miranda. I'm gonna show you a little bit of this video.
I wonder why does everybody look at me and then begin to talk about the Christmas tree. I hope that means that everyone is glad to see the lady in the tutti frutti hat. The gentlemen, they want to make me say, see, but I don't tell them that, I tell them yes, sirree. And maybe that is why they come for dates to me.
Okay, so you probably know her. She's a Brazilian dancer and singer that became really popular during the first half of the 20th century. But we also have more things related to art and music. For example, Andy Warhol's cover for his band, The Velvet Underground. He designed this banana sticker that you could peel. It is like a collectible now. And again, earlier during the 20th century, the slippery bananas became tropes for comedians. And although we think this is something that, you know, cartoon people came up with, this was actually something that used to happen, particularly in the harbors, where bananas were being unloaded and the people working there or passing by this part of the city would fall due to banana peels on the ground. But bananas have not always been a popular fruit in the US, particularly. This is actually a phenomenon that happened in the very last part of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. Bananas were actually an exotic fruit, and to show you an example of this, these are two photographs from the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia. And what we're seeing here is a banana plant. And you might wonder, why are there photographs of a banana plant circulating around. Well, it happened that during this exhibition, very, very important things were being shown, as, for example, Alexander Bell's typewriter was being shown for the first time. The Statue of Liberty's armed with the torch was being shown here before it was sent to New York. But people were crazy for the banana plant. They would actually make a line to go and see it. They wanted to touch it. They wanted to take some of the leaves with them, to the point that the organization had to put a guard to protect the banana plant. So this is just to give you a sense of how unknown and exotic the fruit was. So the question is, how did bananas become such a popular fruit? And the story is kind of dark, to say the least. And I'm going to try to be as concise as possible because it's a very, very complicated story. But it basically began with this man you're seeing here. His name is Minor Cooper Keith. He was a New Yorker, a businessman, who decided to move to Costa Rica in 1871 to help his uncle, Henry Meiggs, to build the Costa Rican Railroad, which intended to connect the capital city, San Jose, with Puerto Limon, which is a city on the shore. Of course, this was a crazy task because it had to be done manually. There was no infrastructure. People would have to work in a very, very dense jungle building the railroad by hand. It is estimated that around 5,000 people died during the construction of the railroad. And there were different challenges, including how to feed the workers. So they came up with the idea of planting bananas because they were cheap, they were easy to cultivate, and they were very nutrient. So Keith realized by around 1890 that he could plant bananas massively, not only for his workers, but as an export product to be sent to the US. And he could use the railroad to transfer them to Puerto Limon and then ship them to the US. He could not do this alone because although bananas are protected by the peel that they have to be kept in very, very low temperatures to keep them from ripening quickly and getting to the final consumer. So that means that you need ships with these conditions in order to take them from Costa Rica to the US. So that's how he joined forces with Andrew Preston, who was the owner of the Boston Fruit Company. He was already working in this business of exporting fruits to the US. So they joined forces and they created the now infamous United Fruit Company. And this is one of the first logos for the company, which of course to our eyes, it's really incredible and mind-blowing to see a gun, right? As part of the logo of the company. And it sort of predates what is going to happen and the dark history that this company is going to have in Latin America. So the company grew extremely quick. It expanded to several places in Latin America and the Caribbean, including Jamaica, Panama, Honduras, Guatemala, Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador, and the Dominican Republic. Many of these countries welcomed the United Fruit with their arms open because the company promised to bring progress to these countries. So that meant that they would build railroads, they would put new radio stations, they will build schools for the kids, etc., etc. But the conditions under which the people had to work were less than ideal. They had to work under really, really hot temperatures without any sort of protection. They had no gloves, no shoes. The hours were terrible. And and they have to be in contact with pesticides on the fields, in the banana plantations. But the company continued to grow, and here I'm showing you two maps. The first one, you can see the expansion of the United Fruit Company. So by the 1920s, they had plantations in all of these countries that you can see on the map. And on the map on the left, you can see the lines, the routes, right, from this steamship company that they created to transport the bananas from South America to the US. While all of this was happening in Latin America, in the US, they were promoting the consumption of bananas using very different strategies. Particularly, they were interested in targeting women, since they were the ones who were doing the groceries and cooking from home. So they started to create cookbooks, TV commercials, toys, all sorts of advertising to promote the consumption of bananas. And this was very successful. People started to eat bananas massively. Why? Well, bananas, they have a very attractive color, so they don't need to do much to make people see them. They have a protective peel, so that means that you can buy them on the street and eat them right away. You don't need to go and wash them as you have to do with other fruits. They were very nutritious, and of course, they were very cheap. So I'm going to give you a couple hard facts regarding the consumption of bananas. So as you can see, from 1900 to 1910, the consumption of bananas more than doubled in the US, only within a decade. Today, the global north consumes around 130 bananas per person a year. This is just to give you a sense of how much we eat bananas around the world. It is also interesting to see how the production and consumption is distributed around the world. So this is a map that shows the production of bananas, and as you can see, Asia and Latin America are the parts of the world where bananas are produced the most. But what is interesting is to see how this changes when we look at the consumption rates. So while in Asia, the production of bananas is mostly for self-consumption, in Latin America, the production is for export. So we can see that the map shifts, and now the global north consumes a lot of bananas. It's interesting to see, thinking about this idea of how Latin America is the biggest export part of the world of bananas, how this is distributed among different countries around the world. Ecuador is the largest exporter of bananas, followed by the Philippines, and then most of the countries from this chart belong to Latin American countries. So we definitely are the leaders exporting bananas. There is an issue with the plantation of bananas. So when these companies decided to grow them massively, they decided to plant only one type of banana variety. There are more than 1,000 varieties, but we plant just one. This means that diseases can spread very easily. And that's exactly what happened with this variety, the Gross Michael, which was the first type of variety that was planted massively in Latin America and Asia. And the plants got sick due to a fungus that spreads really, really easily among the plantations. This is called the Panama disease. So what they had to do was to change the variety that was being planted. This means that new territories are needed for the plantation of the bananas. And so now we actually consume a different type of banana, which is called the Cavendish. And you're probably more familiar with this type of banana. However, we are experiencing again the Panama disease in this new variety. And this has, as you probably know, a very, very large consequences in environmental terms. So just to finish this part, I would like to show you a short video that kind of sums up what I've just told you. And now I'm going to pass the word to Blanca.
Thank you so much, Juanita, for your wonderful presentation. I'm now going to present to you our project. So in case you just joined us, Juanita and I have been working for the last 2 years on a digital humanities project titled Banana Craze, or in Spanish, La Fiebre del Banano. And this is a digital humanities project, and therefore the website encompasses 3 different sections. First of all, it's a virtual exhibition. It is also an online archive, and finally, it is an ongoing research project. So I'm going to begin by showing you the exhibition. I'd just like to clarify that you're getting like a sneak preview of the website, because it's not gonna be live until probably early or mid-October, but we wanted to, to make it available for you today, and just bear with us if you see any typos or mistakes in the website. We're just polishing with the designers, but it'll be ready very soon. So Banana Craze, as I was mentioning, is first and foremost a virtual exhibition. As any exhibition that you might visit in person, it begins with a curatorial essay that welcomes the viewer into the galleries. And then, which is longer than this, obviously, that sets the parameters of the exhibition and of our research. But then, as in a physical exhibition you could visit in person, you are greeted by 3 different galleries or rooms. And that's a way that we have used to categorize our artworks and dividing according them to different categories. So something that we were very happy to see by working on a digital humanities project is that you can surpass the boundaries of a physical exhibition by doing it online, because artworks can belong to different galleries or rooms, and therefore they can be studied from different angles and under different categories. So our first section is violences. It's followed by ecosystems and identities. I'm now gonna walk you through the exhibition. Under violences, as Juanita just presented, we have a history of violences mostly neocolonial practices perpetrated by the multinationals operating in Central America and the Caribbean since the beginning of the 20th century. These histories of violences include land expropriation from local farmers, as well as terrible abuses of labor rights, and also, as in the case of Guatemala, the intervention in local coups to derogate states that were supportive of banana workers. And it's also a question of extractivism and abuse of resources for the consumption by the North and abusing the Global South. So as sneak into this section of violences, I'm going to present you the first work of our project, which is this photograph by Raúl Corrales, a Cuban photographer from 1960. This photograph celebrates the Cuban Revolution. It is actually like a reenactment of a victory within the first months of the Cuban Revolution. That's a very common practice in military terms, to reenact before a photographer a military victory. And as part of the Cuban Revolution, these men here are celebrating the expropriation of the last factory or plantation owned by the United Fruit Company in Cuba. In Cuba, by then, the United Fruit Company was mostly working with sugar plantations rather than with bananas. But for the revolutionary government, this was very symbolic, also as an example of solidarity with Guatemala, which had suffered the coup with the CIA involvement a few years earlier. So this is the work that begins our project, that sets the milestone for the beginning of our chronology, and we thought it was a nice way to start with a photograph that exemplifies the celebration of an expropriation of the United Fruit Company. Another sample of key work within the violences gallery or section of the exhibition is Colombian artist Jose Alejandro Restrepo's Musa Paradisiaca. Unfortunately, the image here is in not great quality, but it'll be better soon. And this work refers through its title, Musa Paradisiaca, to the technical Latin term to design the fruit of the banana, which is of course very evocative and almost poetic. And it is ironic because it seems to refer to a female subject, right? A muse that inspires, and it relates to stereotypes about paradise and exoticism of the tropics. But the work is actually composed by huge bananas that have TV monitors at the lower end of the plant where the flower should be located. And these TV monitors are showcasing images of the violences by the paramilitary and the drug cartels in Colombia in the 1990s. So Restrepo here is tracing a history of violences in Colombia from the origin of the bananas in the country, where, as is famously known in Colombia, was the Matanzas de Ciénagas, where the workers of the banana plantations were brutally murdered when they protested, demanding better rights for them. So the artist here traces a history of violences from that moment until the violences from the 1990s. And this installation also involved all of the senses, because you could walk through the bananas, and these were like live actual bananas. So they were ripening through the past of time. So you would smell the intense smell of the bananas while they were rotting, and also see how the fruit was decaying. So that's our section, violences. Our next section is ecosystems. So this section of the exhibition focuses on the effects of the monoculture in Latin America and the Caribbean. As Juanita already mentioned, the monoculture is very problematic for myriad reasons. First of all, it limits the local economy, because local farmers cannot work on agricultural diversity. They are limited to one single crop. Also, the monoculture involves a lot of water waste. It involves deforestation, and this also affects, of course, the diet of locals who see, because their agricultural practices are reduced. They have less crops to have access to. And another huge problem of the banana monoculture at this large scale is the effects on the health of the farmers. Particularly in Nicaragua, there has been a very famous case of multiple farmers who suffer from infertility due to the breeding of pesticides on the plantation. And mostly in Costa Rica and in Central America, there are severe cases of breeding conditions, also due to the use of pesticides. So I'm now going to show you instead of showing you two very major works in the art history of Latin America, I'm now going to focus on two young artists which we're really fond of. One is the Spanish-Cuban artist Claudia Claremi, who developed this work in Puerto Rico. This was a research project titled La Memoria de las Frutas that dwelled into how the monoculture of bananas in Puerto Rico, but also of, if I'm not mistaken, mango and pineapple, has completely limited not only the fruits that the local population have access to, but also in a way their culture and their identity. So the artist interviewed a number of Puerto Ricans about those fruits that they remembered, but that no longer existed. And therefore she created an heterogeneous archive of fruits that have disappeared. So the work consists, let me see if I can find a better image, of beautiful film of people shaping in the vacuum the space left by the fruits that they remember, but that they no longer have access to. And these beautiful shapes in the void allude to a number of fruits that are unfamiliar to many people today, like whose names have been lost and whose references are no longer available. So the work was also accompanied by a series of excerpts from the interviews with these people. Another work in the ecosystem section is Daniela Cerrulla-Con. She's from Brazil, and she works on repurposing and reusing the leftovers of bananas. She's very concerned about how the consumers often discard those bananas or those fruits that don't look perfect. And she tries to find new ways to use fruit that has been discarded. So under this environmentalist perspective that also ties with questions of feminism and ecology, she thinks about ways to reuse and repurpose the banana. And she has created both preserves and also paper. So what you're seeing here is paper created from banana peel. It's a beautiful image of this different type of cellulose paper created from bananas. And her project is based almost like as a poetic recipe book, where you may find instructions, images, but also suggestions of how to have multisensorial artistic experience by creating paper from bananas. And hopefully sometime this year, stay tuned, we're going to have a virtual workshop with this artist who will teach us how to create paper from bananas. Now I'm going to show you the third section in the exhibition, which is identities. And as you can see, these are many works. We have almost 100 works. And as I was saying before, the beauty of the virtual project is that a work may belong in more than one category or in more than one gallery room, which is something that is not possible when you see an exhibition in person, right? So we were trying to overcome the limits of not being able to do this in person right now by exploring these new possibilities of research and knowledge through the Digital Humanities Project. So in the identities section, we focus on how First of all, with the cliche of the Banana Republic being something that was built around Central America, as Juanita was saying, this stereotype of poor and corrupt governments being Central American and Latin American governments due to this history of actually US influence in coups, anti-democratic, but also it relates to identities because it explores the frequent associations between the Latin American body and sexist and racist stereotypes, which mostly affect migrant population living in the US. It's very common in works by Puerto Rican or Dominican artists living in New York, for example, to allude to bananas as both like a proud symbol of their origins, but also an ironic stereotype of their identity that is often homogenized by the view of the other, right? So in this section, we have Brazilian artist Jonatas de Andrade, who explores racist stereotypes in Brazil. This work is called, I don't speak Portuguese, sorry. So, Forty Negomum e Real, which means like 40 pennies for a good Negro. I think that would be the awful translation. My apologies for that. But that's like a local saying in Brazil. Also, allow me to take this opportunity to show you that each of the 100 works in this project counts with often more than one image, also a complete image caption and a description. So as you may imagine, just getting the image rights, writing the description of each work, clarifying the captions has taken over a year, and it's been an intense research project. So in the case of Jonatas Andrade, this work explores a local candy, a local sweet that's done from cooked bananas, and the work first shows like the recipe instructions for cooking this candy and includes images of mostly Afro-descending men working on the plantations to harvest the bananas. And it is then, here you can see more images of the work, which of course critiques like this affectionate expression to refer to candy and Black men as something terribly racist. And the work also includes, you may see here on the right, a series of requirements for, how may I say this, tables for figuring out the salary for these working men based on completely unprofessional criteria that alludes to corruption in Brazil. So you, in this table for figuring out the salary for these men, you might find, for example, who's friends with whom, who owns more properties, who is nicer, who is more handsome. And that of course also reflects on the history of racism in Brazil. And finally, another work that I'd like to show you, very different work about this exhibition section titled Identities, is Luis Kamnitzer's Banana Flag. Luis Kamnitzer is a Uruguayan born artist based in New York City since the 1960s. And when Trump won the election, he created a petition on change.org to ask for the Republican Party to change its name to Banana Republican Party. The change.org petition did not have a great success. 1,000 people followed his request, but they didn't succeed. But this didn't stop the artist from creating in a performative way an actual party that's called the Banana Republican Party, of which he is the only member and founder. This was mostly a joke that happened when Trump got to power, but that last year with the assault to the National Capitol in January, George W. Bush referred to the US as a banana republic. And this was major because no one had ever referred to the US as a banana republic, right? So Luis Kamnitzer reposted his logo for the Banana Republican Party flag on Facebook, and this became major on social media. It was reposted by hundreds of people, liked by hundreds of people, and the work gained a new relevance under the awful conditions of the assault to the Capitol. So this is a walkthrough of the exhibition. I hope that the different gallery rooms and sections of the show were clear, and I just wanted to show you like a glimpse of the works we have included in this project and how all of them include, as I mentioned, an image, a caption, and a description. So we hope that it's a thorough research project that allows any visitor to really learn about these different artists. And then as an online archive, this project gains like a new life because it allows each individual visitor to the website to create its own, his or her own like research path. So the 100 works in this exhibition may be browsed by artists. Therefore, you can browse alphabetically according to the artist name. You may also browse the exhibition and the project chronologically through this timeline. On each different year, you can see the works that have been created. Then you can click on them and go to the actual work and see the image and read the text and look at the caption. And also you can browse the works in this show geographically through this map. The map feature, unfortunately, is not working today, but it'll be working very soon. And this will allow you to see how many works are on each different country, and therefore also draw connections about what different topics of or aspects of the history of bananas in Latin America interest artists according to their nation of origin. And finally, as I was mentioning, this is first and foremost a virtual exhibition. It is also an online archive, but it is very importantly an ongoing research project. And as such, throughout this academic year, we plan to host a number of events. This is the first event for us. It's the first time we're showing the website in public and presenting our research to a broader audience. So thank you for joining us today. It's very special for us. We'll always remember the first day we presented Banana Craze. And in a few weeks, on October 14th, we are doing a formal presentation in Spanish with the Universidad de Los Andes, featuring a number of artists from Colombia. But this is all to say that throughout this year, we hope that this project expands and grows continuously by including lectures, panels, conferences, and also workshops like the one I mentioned by Daniela Cerrullacón, that add layers of knowledge, exchange, and conversation about this project. And we also hope to feature a couple of film screenings. There are a number of documentary films that explore the history of bananas in Latin America and the Caribbean, and that we hope to include and hold some sorts of virtual online festival with these documentaries on bananas. So here you may see the upcoming events. This will also be updated soon. And then as part of the ongoing research aspect of this project, we have a number of publications. We have divided this in blog and academic articles. So under blog, you have a series of short essays in Spanish written by the wonderful students from the Universidad de Los Andes who have helped us with the research throughout the last year. And on the right, academic articles, here you may find articles written by Juanita and I, the first of which has been published in MoMA under their online platform titled Post. That explores two artists in particular, and we are currently working on a book chapter that also features a number of female artists who work on questions of food and feminism and bananas. And finally, as any research project, we couldn't go out without a references section. Here we have a bibliography that includes both printed and online resources, and that is also constantly growing. And that is all to conclude. That's like our research project section that includes references, publications, and events. And I just wanted to finish my presentation by showing us the other members of our team. This project is signed by Juanita and I, but we are very thankful to the Universidad de Los Andes, who supported this project from its inception, and also to Banana Link, which is a nonprofit foundation based in the UK that supports fair working labor rights for banana plantation workers, and they supported the translation of the website into English. And finally, we'd like to thank all of our research assistants and our web designers, Tokika. And that's all for me today. Thank you so much. And I now pass on the word to Victoria Cabezas, wonderful artist from Costa Rica, whose work is featured prominently on our project. Thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us.
Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, depending on where you might be today. Thank you, Blanca and Juanita, for inviting me to be a part of this. And thank you, University of the Arts, for allowing me to talk about my work. My presentation today will be primarily anecdotal. In the Banana Craze, Blanca and Juanita have generously commented on my work. So I'm going to focus on the circumstances that triggered my interest in the subject 50 years ago. I was 21 years old when I arrived in Tallahassee, Florida as a graduate student. I was thrilled to see that the bananas in supermarkets had Chiquita stickers indicating that they were from Costa Rica. Soon it became clear to me that other people noticed also, because when they heard that I was from Costa Rica, they would immediately congratulate me on the quality of our bananas. I remember one professor telling me very enthusiastically that we had damn good bananas. However, I was not prepared for people referring to Costa Rica as a banana republic. Oh, so you're from Costa Rica, banana republic. At that time, I was not quite sure of the implications of the term. I grew up in Costa Rica, and it was my understanding that we exported more coffee than bananas. So why weren't we being called a coffee republic? I was young, and at the time, I didn't quite understand the implications of the Banana Republic label. So I headed to the library and had my eyes opened. A lot of what I read, I found to be offensive, ridiculous, and misguided. So this is how we, the inhabitants of those so-called banana republics, were being viewed by the other? Identifying who the other was implied a sort of personal identity crisis for me. I had always very much appreciated the fact that I am a dual citizen of Costa Rica and the United States. But suddenly, what I was experiencing from outside Costa Rica, where I had grown up, made things difficult. Let me start with a small example of something I read. One of the books I consulted, a book by Charles Wilson, Empire in Green and Gold, the story of the American banana trade, was dedicated, and I quote, to the banana men with whom I have worked and played in the tropics. Does that sound rather innocuous? Well, not to me. To begin with, let me point out the label banana men. So, was the author also a banana man? After all, according to his own words, he had worked and played with them. They had been playmates and co-workers, but were they equal? I cannot help but seriously doubt that the deplorable conditions experienced by workers on the banana plantations in Central America had been shared by the author. A few lines later, the same author tells us about one banana man in particular. Listen to this. Alfredo was nimble and handsomely muscled. The banana hombres had chosen him to carry messages down the rugged and storm-beaten coast front between the Panama headquarters of Costa Rica and the headquarters at Boca del Toro in Panama. So, who needs a gym when you can just run up and down the coast from Costa Rica to Panama and end up being handsomely muscled? Of course, in some of my readings, I did find texts that warned against the exotification of the tropics. Here's an example of one of them. The tropics are not lands where the indolent native, reclining comfortably in his hammock, has only to reach out his hand and pluck his dinner from a banana tree. In the first place, tree-ripened bananas are not good. And here I would add, in the second place, banana trees are not really trees at all. But hey, at least the indolent native myth, which I had never heard before, was debunked. So, banana trees, playmates, sensuously handsome men, indolent natives. I was finally able to deal with the subject matter by choosing not to work from a place of anger, but by injecting irony and humor into my work. This, by the way, was the first time I'd ever tried that. And I have to say, it allowed me to have more fun than I'd ever had before. Not only during the creative process, but also later on while observing others' interactions with the finished pieces. The body of work I created around the bananas was my graduation project at Florida State University. At the time, I was an MFA graphic art student, and when I heard that we were supposed to create a final project for the graduate degree with no guidance from any professor, I assumed that in my case, it should be in the field of graphic arts. Yet when I asked, I was thrilled and really surprised with the answer. We were told that this was our final opportunity within the institution to create as artists without any restrictions, like no assignments, no technique requirements, total freedom. So this was the early 70s, and for the first time during my years of education, I felt like I could take risks. And this is how the Banana Project came to be. It was nothing like anything I'd ever done before. I had learned to sew when I was 13, but had never used that knowledge in art school. Now I got a sewing machine and started making soft sculptures. The one on the screen is El Banano Emplumado, the plumed serpent. The next one, this is El Jardín de las Delicias, the Garden of Delights, and a few close-ups on the same work. I also made interactive pieces by taking apart toys and using their parts in new ways. Several of them have not survived. One of those that no longer exists was a child's plastic swimming pool, spray painted gold and filled with plastic bananas, fitted with tiny motors that swam around in the water somewhat like spermatozoons. Two of them have survived. This banana sorpresa, surprise, made from a jack-in-the-box, and a banana cabaret, which I will show you next, that performs on the stage previously with two others. And here's Banana Cabaret. I had very little knowledge of photography at the time because the darkrooms at FSU were primarily for the use of photography majors. However, I was able to learn the basics and use a darkroom at nearby Florida A&M University. And that is how I was able to incorporate photography into my final projects. The photographs I am going to show are all untitled. As you can clearly see, this is a photo of a banana tree. Isn't it convenient that bananas come with strings for ease of handling later on? And do you recognize an indolent native under this banana tree? And since no one seems to know what a banana plantation looks like anyway, I decided to create my own. And more bananas ready to be harvested. I also decided to deal with the subject of the banana hombres in different ways, both the native ones and the foreign executives who claim to be part of them. Oh, this is a self-portrait of me as a banana queen. It's one of a series of large embossed playing cards, only a few of which remain in good shape now. Well, one of the requirements for the graduation project was that it be accompanied by a written document. I decided to keep mine a surprise and took the risk of writing it without the aid of a tutor. The body of my banana thesis was comprised of only one word, banana, and accompanied by footnotes of quotes and references to a wide variety of texts of different nature relating to the subject. In the footnotes, I made mention of serious, not so serious, and even nonsensical sources. I was convinced that altogether, the footnotes were sufficient for understanding the body of work I had created. At the same time, I hoped that my thesis would be seen as an integral part of my project, a work of art in itself. I did realize that I might be sent back to write a proper academic document. Fortunately, it ended up being well received. The day that the group of professors met to judge my work and the thesis for the first time, I presented them with an intricate set of ridiculous instructions. to be followed by them during the reading. They're so detailed that I can't even remember most of them now. Instruction number 11, for example, required eating a banana, alternating between those that had been placed on the right or the ones on the left, before starting to read even numbered chapters. I was delighted to see that the professors followed the instructions and laughed out loud while doing so. I had never dreamt that a graduation presentation could be a fun event. Years later, I read part of the document in a performance at Teoretica here in San Jose. My plan today was to read all 71 pages, but you are in luck. Time will not allow it, so I will only read a few lines from 2 of the pages. Banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, 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 banana. A, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, 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 banana. Banana, 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 banana. Footnote 84. Minor Keith, a pioneer of the Costa Rican banana trade, built the first railway system in the country. He was also resident executioner of a large flock of fierce hogs. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana. Banana? Banana, banana? Banana, banana? Footnote 120. But even in the act of complaining, she was placing an 8-finger cluster in her shopping cart. Banana, banana, banana. Banana, 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 banana. Banana, banana, banana. Footnote 121. Time called Chiquita number 1 on the Jingle Jangle hit parade. Navy students at a Midwestern university voted Chiquita the girl they'd most like to get in a refrigerator with.
I'm Chiquita Banana, and I've come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way. And when they're flecked with brown and have a golden hue, bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad. Great? No, not yet, my dear. That greenish way you're looking means that you are ripe for cooking. How about me? No, no. When you are fully ripe, my dear, those little flecks of brown appear. You're most digestible, my friend. Delicious too from end to end. You can put them in a pie, any way you want to eat them. It's impossible to beat them. But bananas like the climate of the very, very tropical equator. So you should never put bananas in the refrigerator. Bananas are a solid food that doctors now include in baby's diet. And since they are so good for baby, I think we all should try it. Oh! See.
And that concludes my presentation for today. Banana.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for your fantastic presentation. We love your work. We love you, and that was a fantastic intervention. I'm not sure how we are doing on time, but if we have a chance, we'd love to open the floor to questions and comments from the audience.
Krista is on you.
Hi, yes, I've opened the chat and I have opened up the ability for participants to mute. I'll just say, I know many have to go on with their day, so if you'd like to hang around with questions and answers, please stick with us. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for attending our panel today of our Banana Craze, and we are very fortunate to have the inaugural talk here for the presentation and to have heard Victoria's intervention of her Banana project. We have an international audience today, so if you're ever in Philadelphia, please don't be a stranger. We have a lot happening at our university in Philadelphia, and we would love to share our students' work with you and to take you to a performance of our students as well. So with that, I'll open up the floor to any questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us and have a great day. Again, you're welcome to jump in the chat. We have a few questions already, or just some thanks, it looks like, or you're welcome to unmute yourself or raise your hand.
Well, I think we don't have any questions. We can just send you the link once the webpage is up. And you're more than welcome to continue to join us throughout this research project. As Blanca said, we will be organizing different talks, workshops, film screenings, etc. So thank you so much, Krista, Rebecca, and Mi Kyung for the invite. This was really exciting, and we hope to be in touch with you in the future.
Thank you so much. I'd like to mention that although the website is not already live, it will be live very soon. Since we don't have everyone's emails, we thank you, each of and every one of you, for attending today. But please follow us on Instagram. I just posted in the chat the name of our Instagram account. That's Banana Craze 2021, our founding year. Please follow us, Banana Craze 2021, on Instagram, and there we'll be posting all of our events updates and of course any news regarding the launching of the website. So please follow us on Instagram. I apologize for the noise, and see you there on Banana Craze 2021. Thank you so much for attending today, and thank you so much, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day. And I will be able to send a link, and I will follow up also with a link to the talk as well as a link to the exhibition.
Fantastic. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you all.
Gracias.
Gracias.